welcome back to the channel. If you're new here, my name is Amber and I am the maker and creator behind Bing & Bliss. I do all handmade baby clothing, blankets, and accessories, you name it, I do it. But today we are going to make a Lovey blanket. I know you guys are super excited and have been asking for this video. I have an order for a few Lovey blankets, but I'm going to take you alongside of me while I make one of them. So I hope that you guys enjoy. Please don't forget to give this video a thumbs up and subscribe if you're not already subscribed. And yeah, let's get started. Okay, so the first thing that you're going to need to do is obviously pick out your two pieces of fabric that you're going to be using. In this case, I am using a soft low pile minky from Spoonflower. This is the only kind of minky that I use for my blankets on my website. Also, you're going to need a backing, and in this case I'm using it's faux fur from fabric.com, and I get all of my backing from them as well. And you're going to need to have a template. So I have made my own template, and this has been pre-cut because I pre-cut all of my blankets when I get them in, so I can just grab and go. So this is what it's essentially going to look like. You can do any size you want. So Lovey blankets, there's no specific size that you need. You can do whatever you want. So my specific size is 11 by 13 inches long. So again, you can do it whatever size you want. This is what my template looks like, and I've just kind of made it up myself. I get this pattern paper at Joann's, and it's in the quilting section, and it's just almost like plastic template paper. And I have kind of just made a tag however I wanted it to look. So I knew I wanted a point on it. You can do whatever you want, like I said, and I just taped it on here. So first I cut out the length that I wanted, which was 11 by 13, and it's just a rectangle. So you can choose whatever measurements you want, cut that out, and then you can do whatever kind of tag, sort of say what you want for your Lovey. This is where you're going to attach your cam snap or whatever snap you're going to be using for your Lovey blanket. I put my snaps right here, and then it essentially folds down over so that you don't take away from the actual blanket. So now that I already have this cut out, I'm going to do the same thing for my backing, except I don't cut out the exact shape. I like to leave a little border around it so that you have room for it to wiggle. Minky and faux fur fabric like to shift while you're sewing, so that is why I leave a little border around it. So this is how I do it, and again, you can do it however you want, but this is the way that I've done it, and this is the easy way for me. So what I do is I put back sides together, not right sides together at this point, so that I can see how much room I need, and I'm basically going to cut a line straight across right here. Even if I cut out the exact pattern, I wouldn't really be able to use the extra for anything else, maybe for little tags here and there, but because the fur is it sheds a lot, I don't even mess with it. So I'm going to go ahead and cut this. And the reason why I cut it on the back side is because if you've ever worked with faux fur, you know that it is extremely messy. So I don't cut through the entire thing, I just kind of pierce it and then I tear. So see, I'm gonna rip it, and don't be scared, it's not going to hurt the blanket. So you just start it and you just rip. And then if you notice, like, no hair comes off of it. It keeps it very low mess. That's even a word. Okay, so now I have my backing. I'm gonna put this away. I have my backing and my front side. I don't normally use this color for this Lovey, but it was a custom request. She wanted the backside of the blanket to be a different color, and she chose this teal color. So this is a custom blanket. On my website, the backing is black. That's just how I like the monochromatic color. But she chose this, and we're gonna see it's gonna turn out beautiful. And so now all you do is put your right sides together, and then you pin. So lots of pins. I do like to use these really thin, ultra fine pins. I get them at either Hobby Lobby or Joann's. And I like to use these on my blankets because they are so ultra fine, they do not puncture the fabric. Now, if you were going to embroider a name on this baby blanket, which I do offer, but this particular customer did not want the name on it, I usually do it in the opposite corner of the tag. So the name would be right here diagonally, and then I would put my tag on this side. So my tag is always opposite of the embroidered name, but because this Lovey does not have a name on it, in that case, I do my tag opposite of the tag up here that's going to hold the wood ring or toy or whatever you're going to put up in that corner. So I always go opposite. And if you need to remember which side you want your tag on, I usually put my pin sideways like this, opposite of what it is going through the blanket, just to remind yourself that's where the tag's going to go. But I've made so many of these, I just kind of know where to put it. But if you're just starting out, that's a good thing to do so you don't forget to leave a hole there, because that's where you're going to turn your blanket. You want to leave at least a 1 or 2 inch gap. So right here, I leave this opening right here. If I do embroider a name on it, I leave it a little bit bigger because when you have an embroidered name, you don't want to squish it up when you pull it through. So then I would leave it a little bit, maybe an inch bigger. Okay, now we're gonna move over to the sewing machine. Before we move over to the sewing machine, I wanted to tell you guys how to do this. So you're going to line up, I always start, so since my tag is gonna go here, this is where my opening is going to be. So I'm going to start right here, and then I'm going to back stitch. I have a locking stitch, but if you don't have a locking stitch, you want to back stitch right here, and then you're going to go here, and then you're going to sew all the way around the perimeter of the blanket till you get all the way back down and back stitch. And I usually do 1/4 of an inch off of the edge of the fabric. So you don't want to leave too much space, but just enough to where it's really tacked in there. Okay, so I have my blanket facing, this is where I'm going to start, so I'm going to put that underneath my presser foot. And I already have my machine has a memory from when I turn it off, and this is the machine I do all my blankets at, so I never change the settings on it. So my settings, I'm doing a straight stitch, but when you're working with minky material and faux fur, you're going to want to have your tension and the length of the stitch a little bit different than normal cotton fabric. So my needle is pretty much all the way over to the right. On my machine, all the way over is a 9.0. I have it at an 8.0, so it's not quite 1/4 of an inch. It's a little bit more than that. That's just my personal preference on how I like it. You can do it however far away from the edge that you like. Now, the length of my stitch is at a 4.0. So the length of my machine goes up to a 5. So if that helps at all, it's not completely the longest length, it's a little bit shorter than the longest length. And that is so that your needle doesn't, if it's too thin, then it's going to bunch up like this. Same thing with the tension. You want to bring your tension down when you're using faux fur and minky. So my tension obviously goes all the way down to a 0. I have mine at a 2.0. So standard machines put it at about a 4, I believe. Don't quote me on that. But I have my machine set at a 2.0 for the tension. So it's a little bit looser because I don't want it to get bunched up underneath the presser foot. So again, my needle is at an 8.0, my length is at a 4.0, and my tension is at a 2.0. So I'm going to go ahead and start sewing. And if you've ever sewn a blanket with corners, you know that you need to stop and pivot at the corners. That way you get a nice crisp corner. And just go slow if you need to. It's not a race. Just take your time. Now, here, I always, doesn't matter how many lines I go up here or stitches, but on my point, I always make sure I have the same amount of stitches going up this way and down that way. That way my point is exactly the same on both sides. So if you want to take any tips or tricks about this Lovey, that is a good one. You always want your tag, whatever you're clipping for your attachment, to be even on both sides. So I'm going to count how many stitches I go up and then repeat that going down. Sometimes you'll see me pulling it tight, and that's because Minky likes to bunch up. So you want to, don't pull it super tight, but make sure it's laying nice and flat. Now I'm coming to the end. This is where you're going to backstitch if you don't have an automatically locking stitch. Like my machine has an automatic lock. If you don't have that, just backstitch right there. Now you're going to remove all your pins. Okay, so once you get your stitch done, now you're going to, this is when it gets kind of messy, so be prepared. I don't use this on, you could use this, but I don't like to rip it when there's stitching right here, because if for some reason it didn't tear right, you would tear into the blanket. So I only do that when I'm cutting out the big part of the blanket. So this I'm done with. Now I'm just going to use my regular rotary blade, and each corner you want to cut at an angle, but not by the stitch. You want to make sure you do not want to cut the stitch off, or you will leave a hole. So just cut right above it. And I will show you what I mean. This is what the back. So just above the stitch. See the fur? It's everywhere. Now where you left your opening, this is my opening right here. I'm going to leave it a little bit bigger. So I'm not going to cut it right here like I would all the way down. I'm going to leave it about an inch off. And that's because you have to tuck it in. And with minky fur, it kind of, you have to have a lot of it to top stitch, otherwise it won't catch. I just clean up as I go. Now this is where I use my handy dandy vacuum. So I love this vacuum. I use this every day when I do blankets. It takes a minute to charge up, and then you just get all the fur. This is linked in my description. You want to make sure you get all that fur before you, or right side out, because then that fur is going to be inside the blanket. You don't want that. So now you just reach through the hole, and then this is where the magic happens. Now you can take any corner turner you have, but I use, it's like a chopstick. It has a pointy edge, and just turn or point your corners. And with the tag on the top, I usually point the top, and then I hold it, and then I do around the edge like that, so that it can flatten. Okay. And this is where I put my tag in. So I take it back over to the machine, and then you're just going to top stitch around. And I use the same exact needle position, everything. I don't change any of my settings. I just go straight over there and I do a top stitch around the whole thing. And if you want to use a tag, this is where your time to put your tag in. So don't forget to do that. Okay, now I'm going to start with my blanket upside down, because my tag is going to go right here. I'm going to start in the corner, and then I'm going to attach my tag in here. And I know this is for a girl, so she's going to get my girl tag. I have a boy one as well, whenever I have somebody order a boy one, my black one, but this is for a girl. So I just slide my tag right inside here. I usually take my little seam ripper and I just give it a little pull, just to guide it through there so it doesn't get stuck. And then I grab the corner and I kind of slightly pull on it so it just lays flat, because if I don't, then it gets bunched up. So you just want to guide it. Okay, so now we are to the last step. I'm over at the cam snap station. So see all these cam snaps? This is what I use to attach the wood ring to the Lovey. So I am going to attach a cam snap right here and right here on the other side. And essentially that's going to hold the wood ring or toy or whatever you want to put on this blanket. But isn't this beautiful? So I'm going to find a color to match this, and then we're going to attach it. Let's see here. This is the fun part. You get to pick out whatever color you want. And I don't think I like that one. I like this one. So we're going to grab, you want 2 of the flat pieces, and then you want 1 of each of the stud, and I can't remember the name of the other one, but they're like male and female. But they're cam snaps, and each time you get them, they come with all the parts. So I don't even poke a hole in it because it's minky, it's gonna go right through it. But the way that I do it is, you see that line right there where each corner meets? I usually put it right in the center of that line. So that's how I do it, and then I just push it through. And I usually attach the piece that has, I think it's the stud one, but it's the one that has sticking up. I always put the flat part on the pattern. So this part, the flat part, is on the print side. Now the next one, I always see where these 2 corners meet up down here. So I make a line straight across there, and then I just go down about 3/4 of an inch. So I just estimate, I don't measure anything, but usually that works almost 100% of the time. And now you have your Lovey. I'm gonna go get the wood ring and I'll show you how to attach it. Okay, so here's your Lovey with your cam snaps. All you do is take whatever toy you want to put on, or ring, pull it through the tag, and then you just snap it where your cam snaps are, and there is your Lovey. So cute. Babies love them. They're so soft, and there you have it. Thank you guys so much for watching this video. I hope that it was helpful and that you guys learned some tips and tricks along the way. If you have any questions, please leave them in the comments below. And please don't forget to subscribe and like this video. Thank you guys. Have a good day.